This year, I want to enter it as mentally healthy as possible, and I want to help you make mental health a priority. I've been a therapist for 6 years, and I've learned a lot about habits and routines. For a year and a half now, I have built my habits and my routines so that I could consistently do movement 4 times a week, consistently journal every day, limit alcohol, and so much more. And I want to help you get your life together so that you can make habits that stick and make this year the best year ever. I didn't build these habits all at once. I gradually started with one and then added the others. I encourage while watching this video that you just pick one habit that maybe it's the one habit that you constantly want to do every start of the year, but somehow it just doesn't work out. And I hope that you apply all the principles and techniques that I talk about today. Mainly, I'm going to share about one of my favorite authors and his techniques and my own personal techniques that I love that really have solidified making habits for me. And I'm also going to share a subscriber's example to walk you through so that you have an actual example that makes sense. James Clear has 4 main principles, and that is cue, craving, response, and reward. We're going to use this subscriber habit goal to explain each of those 4 principles. This subscriber said that they have been slacking on their journaling. They said, I just don't have enough motivation or energy to go through the whole day. I would love to be more consistent with my journaling. The cue is the trigger or signal that initiates your habit. It can be a specific time, location, emotional state, or even an event. It serves as a reminder to start your habit. With the journal example, you can put your journal next to where you sit and have your coffee so that after you have your coffee, you're reminded that you can journal. It gives you an opportunity to make it attractive. It gives you an opportunity to say like, okay, it's right there. It's like I'm not taking energy or emotion. I'm not taking emotional energy or even physical energy to go and grab it from my drawer or get it from the other room. If you get coffee every day, put it right next to your coffee or something. Or if you sit in the couch every day to scroll on your phone, put that in the couch, right next to your phone. This can help you give yourself an opportunity for you to notice that journaling. So an example of how I would read this would be after my morning coffee, which is a specific time, I'll be reminded to journal. That is principle number 1, which is cue, which is creating the trigger or signal that initiates your habit. Now, craving is the desire or motivation that propels you to act on that habit. It's that positive feeling or benefit that you associate with that habit. Basically, the example utilizing the journal, we would say that I crave the clarity and the self-reflection that journaling brings because it helps me start my day with a clear mind. So it has to be something that you crave. It gives you something. So even when you're thinking about the habit, like what is journaling going to give you? I know the type of journaling that I crave the most that gives me so much energy is when I do a brain dump, which I basically just write all the things, my racing thoughts, because I start in the morning and I'll have all these racing thoughts and literally just writing everything down. So you might have to focus on the type of journaling that you're doing because there might not be a strong desire or motivation to do it. It could be the type of prompts, it could be the type of journal. Again, just keeping that in mind. Craving is the desire or motivation that propels you to act on the habit. So if it's not something you desire or motivated to do because it's the actual journal in itself or even the time that you're putting in to do it, then that's something that you kind of have to reverse back and look into. Now, the third principle that James says is called response, and response is the actual behavior or action you take in response to the cue. The first cue that we put, it is the habit itself. So my response to journaling would be to write down one sentence or thought in my journal, even if it's brief. James has this very big belief of just when you're starting off, just creating a habit that's 2 minutes. So he has this 2-minute rule. And with the response, when you're first starting off to kind of apply that principle, I would say, just write one sentence or just write for 2 minutes, whatever works for you. But even just starting so small can help you create the habit. And again, if you're lacking in motivation or emotional energy, I think that could be a really good way just to start. His last principle is reward. And the reward is the positive outcome or satisfaction you receive after completing the habit. It reinforces the habit by making you feel good about it. So an example, how is journaling going to be rewarding? Well, I appreciate the calmness it brings my mind, and I'll remind myself of the long-term benefits that I get from journaling, like personal growth or tracking my progress. For me, what I've done when it comes to journaling, I use the reward of coffee. So I choose to do my journaling first, knowing that after I finish my journal, I will have my coffee. You can use that as a way to create the habit and make it stick. It's actually another one of James Clear's techniques, which is called temptation bundling, which is when you pair a habit that you want to establish with something that you enjoy. So example, if I enjoy having coffee, I'll pair journaling with drinking coffee. So that's an example about temptation bundling. If you apply these, you're able to create a habit loop that makes it easier to establish and maintain your positive habits, even when motivation or energy is low. But here's some other things that are my personal examples of like why I think most people don't keep their habits. Number one, they don't consider their lifestyle, their preferences, or current fears. So I'm going to share a personal example for me. I was so self-conscious about going to the gym, so I didn't set myself to go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week. I've done that before, and I would literally just do that for 3 months, and then I'd be back at the same habit of having no movement. So instead, I asked myself, because I knew I was going to abandon it, is like, what are my current resources and barriers? I don't like going to the gym. It makes me feel self-conscious. So my current resources is being at home, doing at-home workouts. So that was where I saw the opportunity to do movement in a way that didn't make me feel fearful of the gym. I eliminated that whole location in general. I made a cue of having it at home so it could be easier for me to actually obtain. And so then when I started also looking at what resources I had, I said I only have weights and my body, obviously. So I only had weights and body weight. So I was going to use that. That is what I was going to use. At the time, my husband had access to Beachbody, which I don't use anymore, but they had some quick programs. So I looked at like a really quick program, something that could just kind of get me started. So I got into a 4-week program, and the whole point of that 4-week program was just for me to show up to the workout. Now, the program had a regimen to work out 3 to 4 times a week, but my goal wasn't to do that. My goal was to just show up. If I could just show up 3 to 4 times a week, not do the full 45-minute workout, that's totally okay. And I gave myself the ability to modify the exercises, to modify anything that I needed to. I think most of the workouts were 30 minutes, but sometimes there were days where I just didn't want to do it, and all I said, I'm still going to show up and I'm going to do what I can, and I'll do it for 15 minutes, even if I just struggled, or even doing 5 minutes, but I at least showed up because I identified as someone who works out and maintains movement. So that was, for me, the easiest way to be able to show up for myself without feeling this all or nothing mentality, which is another one of the things that I think a lot of people get trapped when it comes to goals, is like having this all or nothing. If I don't do my 45-minute workout, I won't do anything at all. Nope. What I said is I'll do a short walk or a stretch, or again, still put that workout video, but only do 15 minutes of it or 10 minutes of it. If my body needed rest, I quickly just did like a Cobra stretch or a child's pose, and I still showed up. I still came in, put my gym clothes. And something else too, what I did is if I didn't want to go to the gym, I would just like put my workout clothes to go to bed. And sometimes they were just like joggers or like sweatpants, and I would just work out in my sweatpants and my joggers, because I was like, I'm not going to let this stand in the way. If I'm so lazy to change, I'm going to just at least do it in my sweatpants. And was it uncomfortable sometimes? Yeah, I was burning up because I was like exercising in my joggers when I could have just, changed to my leggings. But I get it. When I struggle with my mental health, I don't want to shower. I don't want to do anything. I've had those moments where I didn't want to do that. And sometimes, even when we're not seeing like the progress of like an exercise or a movement goal, we tend to then abandon our goals. So this all or nothing mentality of like, if I can't do 30 minutes, then I'm not going to do it at all. Or if I can't eat healthy for lunch because I'm going out of town, I'm just going to not eat healthy the whole day. That kind of mentality is what keeps you stuck. Instead of giving you grace, instead of giving yourself like, okay, let's turn the day around, that's what needs to change. And one of the biggest things in my fitness journey that really helped me was the book called No Sweat. And I really encourage you to read that too, if maybe one of your habits that you want is exercise and movement. But another one of the things that I think most people do that just makes it hard to make habits is you make habits that are not small. You want to start small because when you make your habits small and manageable, they make sense. And like I mentioned earlier, James Clear has this rule, the 2-minute rule, which means starting a habit that takes less than 2 minutes. So for an example, if you want to read 30 pages a day, it also now turns into starting with reading just 1 page, and it makes it so much easier for you to show up. Another thing that people fail to do is not making it obvious. So make it obvious, make your habits obvious and visible. If you want to go for a walk, put your walking shoes as soon as you go into your bathroom. I don't know. Again, walk you through. I think it's good to just look at your current habits and routines and see where you can stick something in there. That will really help, because what I did is I wrote down all of my schedule, and I see where do I have time, or where can I bundle things together, like my coffee and my journaling, things like that. So making it obvious for yourself so that it makes sense, right? So another example would be if you want to drink more water, keeping a water bottle on your desk. That's what I do. And I also got this bigger bottle because I am lazy and I don't want to go to the other room and pour more water. So the bigger the bottle, the less time I get to have to go back and forth and refill it. So again, like thinking about your constraints, your resources. Other thing is like not using the help of other habits, right? So using habit stacking by associating your new habits with an existing one. So this helps you reinforce the new habit. For example, if you want to start meditating, do it right after you brush your teeth in the morning. Again, you want to kind of pair those up and habit stack. Or if you want to go for a walk, you now do it while you're listening to your favorite podcast. So that is one of the things. And even going back to like making that obvious, you want to make sure that you use environmental design to make good habits easier to start. And that's kind of the example that I shared about the water bottle. If your water bottle is at your desk and it's filled up, you're going to drink more water. It just makes sense. It makes it so easier. Other things that people do that don't help them with their habits is not tracking your progress. Track your progress. Monitor your habits can be a powerful motivator. And it's honestly more of like data. I want you to look at these habits as like data for you. It's not to make you feel bad or to say like, man, I suck because I didn't do this like 3-4 times a week. No, the data will give you information. I always say this to my clients. Follow the data, see what it's telling you, because that's going to tell you what is making you fail. Clearly make maybe a habit journal or a habit tracker, something that makes it super easy for you. Here's some more of the things that will help you stay on track for your habits. So like I said, using temptation bundling, pairing a habit you want to establish with something you enjoy. For example, only allowing yourself to watch your favorite TV shows while you're on the treadmill, or making it attractive. Find ways to make your habits more appealing, making the benefits more attractive in your mind, focusing on the positive outcome. So I started with working out, and I knew that it didn't make me feel better, didn't associate it with making it feel better after. It wasn't until like maybe like week 4, week 5 that I was like, this is actually making me feel better, and I feel shitty when I don't do this. So I use that as the outcome to propel me. The previous motivator was like, I just want to be the person that when I say I have a habit and routine, or when I preach to my clients that they need a habit and routine, that I'm walking the walk. And so that was my motivator and what helped me kind of give me that craving, that desire and motivation. Also, something else that you can do is make it unattractive. So just like we make it attractive for good habits, we're going to make it unattractive for bad habits. So make it less appealing, right? So what I do, example, scrolling my phone, I will put it in a different room, especially when I'm done working. I'll probably already place it in the dock to charge. I've even deleted my apps so that if I did want to check my email or things like that, I'll have to actually come and open my laptop, things like that. And that kind of usually helps me, like prevents me from getting into scrolling or getting into my email. So again, using things to make it less appealing. We don't have like junk food, things like that, because then that means that I have to go to the store and intentionally go and get junk food. And so for me now, when I go get junk food, because I'm a flaming hot girl, like that is my snack of choice, I now have to actively go to the store and get them. And it doesn't mean that I restrict myself from doing it. It just means now it makes it less attractive to me because I have to go and get in my car and things like that. And so it just makes more of a barrier, more resistance for me to do those things. And then just commit to devices that can hold you accountable, whether that is letting people know that you're doing this, committing to exercise by letting a friend know, sharing like your stats. I know that was something I did for my Apple Watch. I had a friend who was also going through a fitness journey, and I said, hey, can I share my stuff with you? And I basically said it's not for us to just like compete or for us to keep tabs of each other, but more to celebrate each other. So if we do a workout or do something, we text each other, oh my gosh, like you killed it, you did a workout. And that really helped, and really just setting the boundary of, okay, this is how we're going to motivate ourselves, instead of saying like, you didn't do your workout, get your ass up and do it. Like, no, we were never like that. So that's going to help us give positive reinforcement. So again, getting an accountability partner can be helpful. What I ended up doing is I signed up for this program called Copilot Fitness, and I have a coach that keeps me accountable, and they're great. If I need to change things, they're very much about like, hey, we need to change the workout. It's like, how can we still show up? And I love that about them. I have a free trial down below if you want to look at Copilot Fitness. This is not sponsored. I just really like them. But yeah, focus also on identity. Shift your focus from what you want to achieve, which is usually outcome based, to who you want to become. So for an example, instead of saying I want to lose 10 pounds, you say I am someone who prioritizes my health and fitness, because the 10 pounds will go. And here's the thing, like one of the things as a therapist, like I tell clients, they'll be like, oh, I want to leave the job, or I want to do this, or I lose 10 pounds, and they think that suddenly this is going to take away all of their struggles. And I think it might help, but it won't take all of their struggles. If we have body image issues, losing 10 pounds is not going to help our body image issue. It's going to only reinforce that the only way we feel good is by losing those 10 pounds. Now, that doesn't mean that losing weight is not a healthy thing, but it just means by identifying yourself as someone who prioritizes their health and fitness, you are more likely to keep the weight off. You're more likely to be someone who prioritizes health and fitness instead of just prioritizing losing weight for a couple of months, then gets back into the same weight that they gains the same weight, and then going back into this like yo-yo diet situation. So yeah, focus on identity. Also practice habit reversal. So to break bad habits, identify the cue, the routine, the reward, and then change one element of the habit loop. So that would be, when do I tend to go and scroll on my phone? Like, I tend to scroll on my phone when I'm bored. So what I did is I create a basket of all things self-care, and I put it where I usually get bored, which is like by the couch. And so then I have all these options, and I changed that one part of the loop, because I still go in and sit down, but now I've changed one part of the loop to have options for myself. So that's just an example, but you could use other things. And honestly, just stay consistent, stick to your habits even on days when you don't feel like it. It's the small, consistent actions that lead to long-term change, and just make them flexible. Remember, if one day you don't feel like doing a workout, instead still move your body, like cleaning at the house or taking a short walk or doing a 5-minute stretch. Still show up. Resources to read: Atomic Habits for sure, No Sweat. And then I've also been loving Shelby Sacco's podcast called Sad to Savage, and she focuses on a lot on habit making routines. And also my good friend Jess Massey, she has a podcast called Hustle Sanely, and again, she talks about hustling sanely, productivity, routines, all good things. I think you'll really enjoy it. Let me know what habit this year you want to be successful in down in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you in my next video.